I'm Sandeep. Let me introduce our guest as usual. Nobody's, same old culprits. Orko, thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to
Yeah,
the show.
thanks, buddy.
And Vishnu, thanks for doing this as well. I know you are not keeping well, so we'll try to not keep you here too long either. But thanks
Thanks,
for making
man.
it.
Thanks, man.
So let's get right into it. So we are tweaking the format a little bit. We decided we will not talk endlessly about every single match. So we are picking two, three topics. Could be anything. You can also suggest, and we'll work, do our research, and do whatever we can to help get a very in-depth picture of the topic. So today we'll focus on three. We'll start with this, Orko. The biggest news last week, or one of the biggest news last week in Indian sport, is how much uh, the women's IPL has gone for, and it prompted a conversation about the valuation of Indian football and in ISL and the teams and the clubs and this and that. So that's the first topic that we're going to discuss. Orko, I saw you had a beautiful thread on it. I agree with everything. Maybe we can add a few things also, but I'm going to let the floor open and let you take it there.
Yeah, I mean, as usual, some talk of money came and like we went down delusion lane. Oh, what if FSGL released it to the open market? And for those who people understand, I was actually praising FSGL because they get way more money for it than it's actually worth, right? And who are we kidding? Like the PKL clubs, if I'm not mistaken, had a deal of 180 CR, right? That is the deal they have per year, if I'm not mistaken. PKL, whenever I watch PKL, the numbers on the top right of screen is minimum I've seen is 75K, and 3L, 4L is it's standard, like 2L, 3L, 4L is standard. I mean, some people might say no, it doesn't go that much. Whatever. I'm just saying what I've experienced, right? Now you compare that to the numbers on the top right, top hand right when the ISL matches play. Like just simple observation, right? And you talk to people inside clubs, they tell you, listen, we only get sponsorships because we know somebody or they know us, right? And they're doing us a favor. That's it. Because right now the numbers are are like, what do you say, bottom, rock bottom is this season especially, right? And especially after the World Cup. I mean, if like the numbers when reflecting it, the stadiums are, I think the stadiums, like, usually they're bad, but Northeast United, like, posting official attendance of 350 and all. I mean, so I mean, like, enough said about it. For me, it's like bogus wishful thinking. Like Indian football go to the open market, it'll get routed. It will get absolutely routed. What they're getting right now, they won't even get that much. Also, this is all poppycock. That's the term for it. It's all poppycock. And sorry, that's all I have to say for this.
Vishnu, what's your take?
Yeah, so I think even before the pandemic, when ISL was much healthier than it is right now, PK was comfortably better than that, and as like it was the second most followed
Yeah.
franchisee league in Indian sports after the IPL. Even then, so even then, ISL wasn't really a competition to PKL, and if you ask pretty much anyone from Star who
Mhm.
broadcast both leagues, they'll tell you that. And I think the best person to answer how big the gap is would be Abhishek Bachchan, who owns stuff in both leagues. And
That's been done.
I'm pretty sure he's making a like. I'm like I can't exactly tell you the details right now because I'm talking
Mhm.
off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure he started making a profit of his PKL franchise while
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
probably will never.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it will take a lot more for him to make any money from ISL. So
They had enough pulling power to go to the open market this year.
exactly,
They're
exactly.
enough pulling power. They said, and Star had to come up with the highest bid. Star came up with the only bid, if I'm not mistaken.
And
But still, they had the bargaining chip with them. That's the point.
and we are forgetting that just before the ISL, the AFF was actually paying the broadcasters to broadcast the
I
thing. So I mean, see, people can say what they want, but unless somebody is doing a personal favor to somebody else, the truth is they are not going to pay anywhere near as much as they were. So,
see.
I mean, the same clubs who argued that, like way back when those, the whole roadmap uh, talks were going on, the same clubs who argued that if you let us, we'll bring in a lot more money to Indian football. The irony was that they weren't finding sponsors for their own club. So what are they going to do for Indian football, like in terms of sponsors and broadcast partners? So
So here is the thing. If anybody wants to see where the direction of Indian football, the ISL is going, see the number of sponsors that used to be there earlier. Number of sponsors who used to give away the awards at the end of the matches,
Mm,
or in the back, in the
mm.
flex on the back, in the backdrop that they do their award ceremony, and DHL used to drive that thing. So all these numbers have gone down. So that means they are not getting an return of investment that they hope for. So that is one clear way to look at it. The second
Hmm.
one you can see, like they all said, the numbers who are watching it is probably not at the level where you are going to invest that much
Yeah,
amount of money.
yeah.
And so this is the outside part of it, right? Now let's say you go to the open market. That's the next part. So you're looking at the clubs, and everybody wants to get a cut of that money right now because Star is part of official partners. There is no money coming from the telecast, right? What are the options that they get to go out? Like, let's face this completely honestly. This is the truth that if the IPL had not happened during the COVID impacted season, ISL would not have happened because Star would not have had money to do the whole show
Hmm.
and pay for all the, because for them also it's a heavy investment, right? Have production teams everywhere, do all the things, and nothing is really coming out of it in terms of revenue either. And Hero's the only one who's some kindness of his heart. The Hero guys are just sponsoring everything in Indian football at the moment. I don't even know how much that sponsorship is worth. Now I wanted to move to a little bit to the club side. Okay, you worked in clubs in ISL, you worked in clubs outside ISL. The situation now clearly there it's inflated market, and if the teams, now that there is relegation promotion promise, or at least promotion promise at the moment,
Hmm.
that valuation will also be affected, right? You, and eventually when relegation comes, it will be affected even more.
Yeah.
So how are you looking at it from the club side?
So from the club side, right, the ratio of I League to ISL salaries probably is indicative of a first tier, second tier relationship, right? You have a I League where your average salary is between, let's say, if you're a good Indian player, you're getting somewhere between 6 or 8 L to about 12, 14, 16, right? May have gone up. I'm not sure. But it's somewhere in that range, right? And you have the ISL where it's between, let's say, 80, 90 L to 1.6 CR, 2 CR. Anwar Ali is on 2 CR, right? Apuya's on crazy money.
2.5
Yeah. Apuya's on 1.6. Sunil is at about 2, I think. Sunil Gurpreet is at
at
2.
3, I
So,
think they are closer to 3. I'm not sure, but closer to 3, I
I mean,
would
they
guess.
were at 2 when I think the new deal started. It
Yeah,
might have gone up, but uh,
but this is the top tier, right?
yeah, these are top tier. But
Hmm.
so even the average, like I mean, if you're in the 30 in the national camp or in the 20 that's aiming to push for the national camp, you're closer to 1 CR
Hmm.
now, which wasn't the case at the start of season 4 draft where Anas Edatodika and who someone else went for Eugene Lingdo, I think it was, who went for 1.1 CR. They
Eugene
were
and Sunil went for the highest.
no, Sunil was not in the last draft.
still wasn't part
Season
of that
4,
draft.
Sunil was
Ah,
signed. Sunil was directly
yeah.
signed. He
Eugene
was one
Eugene
of
was the highest.
Eugene and Anas. Eugene and Anas. I think
Reno,
either
Reno also went for good money.
Subrata and Anas.
Yeah, 90 lakhs or something he went for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gurpreet was again retained. Udanta was retained, if you remember. This was then Jamshedpur FC joined the league, right? So you can see that the market has shot up, right? Has the quality shot up accordingly? I mean, that I'll leave for you guys to decide, right? So, but I want to add this to the last point. All is not lost for Indian football, right? There is a possibility where a stakeholder makes an insane bet. For example, Dazon's gone to a couple of countries and made some insane crazy bets. Like League One, they've they've got the rights at some. They had, I think, this is a part of the FIFA documentary also, right? Where they have picked up League One rights for some crazy amount of money, right? Japan, I think they pay good money. Dazon, right? Apple is paying almost 250 million to the MLS, which I'm not sure, has that sort of. Pay. So someone makes a crazy bet on Indian football, it's possible, but they have to take over everything. They have to take over the marketing, the branding. I mean, it's not just broadcasting, like it's an entire turnkey solution. You do it end to end, I feel. That's the
Yes.
problem. And Indian football's the lack of it in tier 2 cities is what is killing, cramping it right now, right? If you look at the 8 venues of the initial ISL clubs, they are all cities, right? They are all cities. Guwahati is a city, Kolkata is a city, Delhi, you have Kochi, you have Chennai. So, I mean, does Indian football, is it better off including the Aizals and the Shillong Lajongs or the Gokulam Kerala, which is closer to a Malapuram area? Is it better off integrating everybody? Because I feel you're
This is
missing out
something
on.
you see in I League, right? A lot of the stadiums are fuller in I League because it is not in the Tier 1 cities. In Srinagar, most of the I've seen pretty much a good amount of crowd coming in Srinagar. Earlier, I saw earlier part of Gokulam's time. There was a good amount of crowd
The
for Gokulam as
Indian cricket itself has made a conscious push towards the tier 2 cities. It
well.
hosts it hosts test matches where in Indore it hosts. I mean, no offense to Indore, but it is not a tier 1 city, right?
I do like Indore, a good
Yeah, even
city,
I like Indore.
clean
I'm just
city.
saying it's not a it's not an entire 1 city. So Indian cricket's made a push. They've realized it. PKL, right? PKL, they made the format simpler. They made a push. Like, I mean, Indian football, I think, is missing out on a major market right now.
What do you think, Vishnu?
I think one of the lessons from the whole ISL experiment is that we should let it grow organically, because they try to have a football club in Delhi. We all know how turned out. They try to have a football club in Pune. We all know how that turned out. So let it grow. I mean, wherever the fans come, wherever there is the right conditions for a football club to grow, let it grow there. It's basically like stuff sprouting somewhere. It has to, the conditions have to be right. I mean, you can try all you want to grow it on your terrace, but there is a limit to which you can do that. So I think football clubs above everything, and you can't completely blame the ISL, because it, for example, Kerala is one of the success stories of the ISL, I would say, because there was, the conditions were there for a football club to grow there, and they gave one, and it did. So you can't exactly. It's. I think you have to look at it in terms of lessons learned, and this is one big lesson, I guess, because you can force all you want for a, like a, force a football club to sprout, like flourish somewhere all you want, but unless the conditions are right, the passion is there, the infrastructure is there, and the people are there, most importantly the people are there,
People.
it's not going to take off the way you want it to. You can persist with that experiment for however long as you want, but unless something drastically changes, I don't think it's this is something you can force. So instead of I mean, it's always nice to take football to cities that weren't there before, but you have to try do it in an organic manner.
Yes, absolutely. We have to also see, like you said, I think Chennai is pretty much another place where Chennaian has huge fan base. May
I'm
not be the
so sad.
20,000.
That club has so much potential. I'm so sad
Exactly.
about
They
it.
went to the right place.
So
Chennai
sad.
and another one, even Bengaluru for that matter, they have done well
So
with
sad.
whatever they've been given.
Huh.
And I think Hyderabad has a lot of potential,
Hmm.
but the stadium being where it is and a few other things are a problem, but
Huh.
hopefully that can be sorted out.
No, but
But
I'm saying parts of southern TN, right? They have pretty much the same culture as Kerala, and that's crazy. Like,
yeah,
because that propensity to spend on football, they have that, right? I saw some tournament in Nagarcoil where they pulled out all the bloody stops, right, to just host it, right?
I mean,
And
TN was a, to understand what football means to Tamil Nadu, you just have to look at their Santosh Trophy performances over there, where they
fuck,
had
no.
every reason to fail, but they still managed to put out teams that reached semifinals and
But
finals and
still,
all that.
this
Like,
they're just scraping the bottom of the
it's
barrel.
not even
Yeah.
like no encouragement from the administration, but
Hmm.
active discourage from the administration, and they still did that. So yeah.
TN, Haryana, these two are very badly managed states, and like which are sitting, like, you have another potential gold mine for Indian football, right? TN for men's football, Haryana for women's football. Like it just needs to, someone needs to, reach into these areas and, right?
And now, just wanted to get more detailed into the inflation part of it because this week, the news came out about Anwar Ali. Now you can go back and check. Last week, we had mentioned here that a big player is going to ATK Mohan Bagan for insane amount of money, and this is the guy. We didn't want to disclose the name because it was under, it was still in negotiation.
We are
But
speaking about clubs, right? I'm just gonna say one thing. I am hearing one club has been sold, right? I'm hearing
I heard, but I couldn't collaborate.
one club has new ownership, and I was just gonna say it because we're coming to it. At any point in time, four clubs are up for sale. At any point in time, four clubs are up for sale. There. I'm not kidding.
No, no, I agree. Yeah, no, no.
There are. They're looking for valuations, obviously, which nobody's 200 CR. They're
See,
asking
that
in
is the
this.
question that I was coming into because they evaluated this club at such a high
Huh.
amount of money that a
Hmm.
lot of the people who want to sell are unable to sell it, and it's propped
Hmm.
up by many other things. You know, it's like what do you call? Some people inside has been uh, sort of like, okay, we'll get you some
Hmm.
sponsorship and just keep going for some time. So those kind of stuff is going on. One of the clubs, like you mentioned, I heard got sold, but I was not
It's a
able to
relief. I'm guessing it's a huge relief for all the fans because I think it might be the start.
for
I'm not saying
for the owners also.
for the owners also, right? No
Yeah.
blanks, good. I mean, like I said, ailing fan base,
Yeah.
So let's
No,
see.
but the one of the problems that these owners are also facing is the money that is spent on players is
Hmm.
has become really over the top, obscene. You can
Hmm.
blame a few clubs for
I think
doing this or getting it
one
up.
way to illustrate that point is that I'm again off the top of my head, but I remember the numbers from many years ago, and I think Anwar Ali. I'm pretty sure Anwar Ali is getting paid more than Roberto Carlos and Elka and all these people when they came out. So I mean that alone should show you how much domestic player salaries have become
But
inflated.
the problem here is because these guys, right? These guys, let's say like Mohan Bagan, I will say is one of the chief culprits. They are just going and throwing money, and for anybody to compete with them, it's becoming really difficult. And even the agents go and say, okay, these guys are paying me this much money, you match it or improve it, otherwise he's not coming. And these players, Sumit Rathi, all the rest of them who they've signed, and all the foreigners that they've signed, lot of them are not even playing or anywhere close to playing. You can look at Mumbai also in the sense that Nawaz has been signed, and it was I don't know, some futile signing that they just did it out of ego or something. Because Des came straight away, he gave him a chance, then realized the second keeper was better, and Purba has improved a lot. And you can't blame Des because Des has done this a job where he's improved the player. Even Kerala Blasters, when they signed some big money signings, Ivan has come in, he's seen the name, he did not care about the name. He played the player who was best for suited for his football. So kudos to these coaches for standing up, but the clubs have destroyed the market.
The clubs have. I'm just going to say something, and everybody knows this. More than the clubs, it's the officials inside the clubs who've destroyed the market from within. Up, whoever has to understand will understand what I'm saying, right? So it's, let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. It's the clubs, have they inflated or has money been rerouted? Whatever, you know, you want to put it like if owners are happy paying 14 months salary to some person and the 2 months of salary going somewhere else, I mean, nothing we can do about it, right? And it's understandable. Just take just think about it, right? The guy who owns Kerala Blasters has some thousands of crores of turnover, right? Vita Dani owns Asian Paints. That's a 6,000 crore, 8,000 crore company. You have Jaidev Modi who makes 1 CR, I think, of casinos every night, probably or more. I don't know, right? What is 25 CR for them? They've written it off. They've written it off. And I suspect after the acquisition of Delhi Capitals, Mr. Jindal, his heart bleeds for it as he tweets, but he's also kind of written it off. He's also like, whatever the chump change from Delhi Capitals I'll get, I'll put here because that is the loss we make. He's also written a letter also 2 years ago, as we know.
Yes, 25 to 30 CR is the loss for him.
He wrote in a letter. Clearly, he wrote in a letter.
Clearly, is written that.
So
So,
imagine if you're investing 50 CR, 60% of whatever you're investing is written off every year. 60% of what you're like. This kamikaze economics. That's all I
yeah.
can say.
So I want to ask Vishnu this, like, this is clearly a bubble. And we've even heard people like Ravi Pushkar also say it's inflated and it's a bubble. At some point, it's going to burst. What point do you think that's going to come, and what do you think, what do you think is going to happen? Because I League may you get 25,000, 30,000 for a player. That's a salary that they get. There are people who get in lakhs as well. But the difference is huge between the two leagues.
If you want some good news, I think there is a chance that it won't burst for a long, long time because you've seen the trend, right? Somebody buys the club, somebody has a club, tries to run it, spends a lot of money on it, realizes that they don't exactly want to run it anymore, and then they sell it off, and the next guy comes in to blow off all his money.
Yeah.
So that's what happens with Delhi. What happened with Delhi, that's what's going to happen with Northeast. A lot of so as long as there's
But do you think at some point the powers of being is not going to help them find a person also? You'll be like, oh, you only do it now. How long
I
are we
see.
going to keep
I,
supporting?
it's impossible to predict, man, because it could happen very soon. It could happen a lot because first of all, you have to keep in mind that everybody keeps saying that in the next few years a recession is coming. Once that comes, then you'll have to see, will these people who are so happy to burn their hard-earned money like this, would they be still be happy? Not just happy. It's like, for example, in a like a scenario where company A that owns club B has to lay off people like say Byju's and all are laying out. Will they still be justified in blowing money on a football club while doing that? Will the publicity or the bad publicity affect them? So all these factors will come into play. So a lot of things can happen actually. And again, see, the only thing we can agree upon is that whatever they are doing now is not sustainable. And if you remember when ISL first came, the plan was to break even after 10 years. 10 years is happening soon. And they're nowhere near close to breaking even. Nobody is close to breaking even. You can give them a grace period of 2 years or due to the pandemic, but even after that, I don't think even in 3 or 4 years anybody is going to break even in
Yeah.
ISL. So clubs have to look at. I think that's one thing they failed to do. They've tried to import a lot of things in a lot of things from the Western world
Hmm.
as to how matches are organized. But when they're trying to look at how clubs are run, I think they imported their ideas from the wrong parts of the Western world. There are multiple clubs across the world that are being run responsibly, properly, and they should have looked there. Instead, they look to the same model that you have in the EPL and maybe MLS, where people don't really mind losing their money, and these are just vanity projects for honor sports washing, whatever it is. And I think uh, there has been a failure to have people who know how to run a club responsibly. I mean, I'm not saying there are none, but this is all due to the fact that we did not have a healthy football culture here for a while. Because if you look at, if you look at the first season of ISL, all sorts of hooks and crooks were running ISL teams, like in involved, because that's all they got. Because if you look at Indian football at that time, and you needed people with at least a 2% knowledge of Indian football, a lot of them were people like this. So
First year, you won't hear it. I'm just going to say it. First year, I heard this and I was shocked. My jaw just fell. There were people who were getting $2,000, $3,000 in their home countries. They came here and they were getting 200,000, 250,000, and the quality of foreigners was like, ah, it
and
blew people's minds when they heard the money. It's
and
like,
the number of and the thing is, so all this points to the fact that, see, people keep talking about football culture, but that is not just an important thing when it comes to producing players. That is an important thing when it comes to producing everything: good referees, good coaches, good management people,
Revenue.
good club officials. So Without that, we are not going to produce any of this. And as long as we don't produce not just two or three well-run clubs, but 20, 30 well-run clubs, this same thing is going to happen because, you know, the wrong people come in, the organization is obviously going to be run wrongly. So,
Yeah.
Yes. So this is a deep dive into this topic. So we'll touch on two more topics. So shifting gears a little bit, one of the big news from Indian football circles, at least, has been that Mandar Tamhane has left Bengaluru FC. Um, I have seen in my timeline, I've seen in this in the chats here and everywhere, a lot of people asking Mandar to leave. Me personally, I have a very good relationship with him. He's always treated me well. I have to say it's probably the right time for the team and him to part ways. That is all fair. But let's look at his whole career, right? Whole tenure, 10 years. Just one second. Just look at the whole tenure of 10 years. It's been, if you look at it in black and white, a hugely successful spell until the last 3 years, right?
Do I want to what is the word for it? I I sympathize with Mandar.
Yeah,
Basically,
so do I. So do I.
once the IPL franchise was in, it was curtains, right? The IPL franchise is producing revenue. The Olympic program is producing medals,
Superstars.
superstars, medals, gold medals, bronze medals, silver medals, you name it, producing, right? So, which one is the clown at the party then? Which one? I'm really sorry to use the word, but there is only one clown at this party, right? So, I mean, wh- honestly, Mandar will remain a BFC legend. I mean, took it as far as he could, did whatever he could. Yeah, maybe a few decisions, recruitment decisions in the last 2 3 years went bad, but I mean, what more could he have done? You know, incremental changes maybe, but
But look
uh,
at this on the flip side. When I look at it, I met him maybe on the first ever press conference. I think I'm not very sure, but in the first year, from there you built a club from scratch.
hmm,
You get a fan base in. You put in your soccer schools, your Bellari, that academy, residential academy. Build all that up.
everything,
Win
all
Super
touch
Division,
points.
won every single title there is to win in Indian football. Reached the AFC Cup final all and they produced a lot of national team players in the first 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
Lot of national team players who went on to have great careers, or may not be there once they joined the ISL. A lot of them did move on to other leagues, other clubs as well. So I look at it fondly as a man who really got through the story of him and going and talking to Sunil to get him to come to the club, selling him the vision that this is what we want to do because it was an unfancied team, right? And they came in new team, no superstar name. Sunil was the only big name in that team. Robin Singh, maybe you can say, but Sunil was the only one who was really got any name value. So to
and
build that team
and
up,
if you look at after HL, right, like
yeah,
the
nobody
city,
had it. Yeah,
the city's football was dead.
yeah.
Of course you have Gautampura and all. Yes, will
Yeah.
always be
No,
there,
this
but
local divisions are there, but on the national level, that football interest had gone down, and they built it up. They did a great job in the first seven
hmm,
years. Yes, like you said, the last 3 years not been that great. A lot of recruitment issues, money
still,
also. Whatever money they
still,
spent, because the rest of the clubs were spending a lot more.
hmm,
BFC's money was lesser, I guess. That's why you lose people like Miku, and
hmm.
you don't replace him with another Miku-esque
one
guy.
one Durand Cup trophy to show for it, and how many clubs have trophies to show for in the last 3 years? Mumbai, ATK,
Goa,
and
Goa,
Goa, Jamshedpur,
yeah,
right?
Hyderabad.
Hyderabad,
Yeah.
Hyderabad. So still one Durand. Like I mean, saying, like I said, would you rather finish seventh and not win Durand, or would you finish ninth and win Durand? I mean, for me, trophy's a trophy, right? So,
Absolutely.
uh,
What about you, Vishnu?
Vishnu, yeah.
You are also there. I remember for the AFC Cup final.
We
You were
were
one of the four. Yeah.
I was there. I was there for the closed doors match also. I don't know if you guys remember. It was
In Campaigns Rovers.
Tampines over.
I was there too. I
Germain
was there.
Pennant was playing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We need scored a goal in that, the
Mm.
1-0 win. Yeah.
1-0 win.
Mm.
Yeah, Akbar
I think
Nawaz was the coach.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
remember, yeah.
No,
Hmm.
as you guys said, I think what Mandar has done, not just Mandar, obviously. I mean, again, it's wrong to give him all the credit on this one,
Hmm.
but then it's wrong to not give him any credit also. That whatever he did, the way he's built up Bengaluru FC, I think it's definitely impressive, especially in those first 3 4 years when what they were doing was revolutionary. There was nobody who was doing it like that because even the ISL clubs were trying to figure out how to run themselves. I League clubs were not really up to the, they had no idea. I mean, these people, I think, if I'm not wrong, they won the Federation Cup within a few months of being founded, right?
Federation
That
Cup?
first
No,
season
the
they
first
won
year
the
they won the
Federation.
league. Won the
Huh?
league first year.
Ah, yeah, yeah. So I think that alone shows you how bad things were in Indian football at that time, and somebody could just come in and do this and be better than everyone else with like a few months of preparation. So I think you have to give not just Mandar, that team that was there for Bangalore FC at the start, credit for introducing a lot of things into Indian football that weren't there before. So he definitely deserves credit. And as both of you guys said, I don't think Bengaluru FC's decline over the last few years has entirely been his fault. I mean, um, a lot of it, as Marco mentioned, has a lot to do with JSW diversifying. Because if you remember, for the first 3 or 4 years, they only had Bangalore FC, but then IIS came, which was an amazing venture. But that meant that a lot of their attention got shifted to that establishment, and then like the Delhi Capitals thing came as well, and uh, it's when you can produce Olympic gold medalists with half the effort, then obviously your focus will be there, right? Why would you want
Hmm.
to focus on
Yeah.
football where you're not going to produce an Asian Cup winning team in 50 years, let alone a World Cup winning team? So uh,
Um,
yeah, so it's see again, Mandar is somebody I wouldn't say I've known, but I've interacted with him from before he was at Bangalore FC when he was with the national team. So from that time, you keep hearing things about him, good things.
hmm.
So he's definitely made a big difference to Indian football. Definitely more than a lot of people who were within AIF in that same period, who are in more of a position of power to make a difference. So he's definitely done more good, given more good stuff to Indian football than that. These kind of people. Again, it's hard to look back when you look back upon his entire reign. It's hard to say that it's been a negative thing. It's been positive. There's no question about that. And the decline was sad, but then yeah, it's as they say in the movies. I guess all good things must come to an end.
Yes.
So
Yes,
yeah,
yes, and it's football at the end of the day, and at some point people have to go different directions. But I'm sure we'll see Mandar back again. Hopefully, he'll come back on the podcast also. We'll invite him in sometime. I don't want to annoy him right now. Let him take his time off and
Yeah,
he has
some
a
off
great.
time.
Yes,
Yeah,
he'll get some off time. So once he's done, he's come before. I'm sure he'll come again
yeah.
if we ask. But yeah, so this is the last topic we wanted to talk about today, and this is slightly different because it's not strictly speaking about Indian football. But we think, at least Orko and I and Vishnu, we were thinking this is important in the sense that just after the World Cup, there has been two uh, tournaments in different regions in Asia. The ASEAN region had the Mitsubishi Cup and the Gulf Cup that is going on. Final is going to happen tomorrow at 9:30. So if you want to watch it, YouTube will be there free streaming somewhere. These two tournaments have shown a level of football. Let's just go with football first, and I want to ask something else. Orko, Thailand won their seventh Asian Cup. This is the
No.
team that India still boasts about beating in 2019, and that by the looks of it, that team has improved. And the other end of the and Vietnam is the other finalist who also look like they have improved. And in the Gulf Cup, Iraq and Oman are in the final. Again, two teams. I mean, at least Oman, we say we could have beaten, we could have held, we could have done this and that. And they too seem to have gotten better. They beat Qatar and Bahrain respectively. Not the first team Qatar. Qatar had a few players from the age group and lower levels. So yeah, I'm just going to give you the football. I saw it. I loved the Asian Cup tournament. It was an amazing watch.
Hmm.
Saw clips of Gulf Cup. I haven't been able to watch one full game, just maybe one half.
Even I watched the Mitsubishi Cup. I
Yeah,
mean, fantastic, right? And they beat Vietnam, and people like, huh, we beat Thailand 4-1. But also, just to remind everybody, like I always do, Thailand also qualified to the round of 16. We didn't at that very Asian Cup. So that is progress. And I'm sure that has nothing to do with the fact that Thailand fired their coach after the first match, and this
everything to do with the fact that Thailand goes
yeah,
and
I
they
was. It's a thing called subtlety. But
matching limitations are over.
uh, yeah, Mano Polking, I think, did a fantastic job with the team this time also, and Vietnam also like top notch team, right? It just shows how competitive ASEAN is getting, right? Slowly, and again, not to burst any bubbles, but people from the ASEAN countries go to Japan, South Korea to play, even in their second division, right? Um, one or two might happen from here in maybe next 5-10 years, but it's not to be for it to be a regular trend. Let's see, let's wait and see if that's become, because even now if you follow some handles, Thai people, Thai or Vietnamese, recently some Vietnamese guy signed for a J1 club. I saw it also.
Yes, yes.
So
We already
we
have a
often
couple of them
huh.
in
And
Japan.
when we are making the relative comparisons, right? We see the score. We see, oh, we only lost 2-1 or 2-0, right? Never account for the fact that Qatar shooting was shit, or Thailand's shooting was shit, or Vietnam shooting was shit, right? Someone said, oh, we
Or our
Vietnam,
shooting was on that day some next level.
huh?
When we scored the four,
Yeah, because you're taking two shots, you're scoring one, they're taking 28 shots and scoring two, right? And you're just looking at the final score. So, um, I'm sorry, like I mean, it's very fanciful to talk to say that we could go and probably boss the AFF Cup. There are countries we could definitely compete with, but the countries that reach the final, both Gulf Cup and this thing, I think going to be tough. And we'll have the one odd match because we are also basically parking the bus, right? So we'll have the odd draw, we'll have all of this, but to base relative strength based on like A is greater than B by 2 goals, B is greater than C by 2 goals, so A beats C by 4 goals. That formula doesn't apply here, right? So, so I saw some inane tweets also. Somebody during the World Cup said these World Cup sides are all facing B rung sides and all. India could very easily have tried to schedule a match with them. So I mean, it's
but look
again.
at it this way, okay. I mean,
uh,
I understand the football math doesn't really catch up, but we
hmm.
saw Vietnam and India play, and India, I think, lost 3-0 recently.
3-0, 3-0. But
3-0, right?
it could have been
Yeah.
4, 5, 6.
Correct, yeah. But I saw both the legs of the Asian Cup final and the Mitsubishi Cup final. And Thailand, the first leg was 2-2. And Thailand basically made two mistakes that allowed Vietnam to score. They have a great striker, Nguyen Tin Lin, I think his name
Yeah.
is. He is a top scorer. They've got a very good striker in him. So
Hmm.
he got the two goals. But over the two legs, Thailand just looked comfortably ahead of Vietnam. And Vietnam was a team that we always look at and say, he's improved a lot and is the next, up and coming force and everything. Thailand is still ahead of them. They beat them. I don't even know if Thailand had their full team. I think some of the bigger names are missing.
Hmm.
Not completely sure. I think so because I didn't see a few of them. But yeah, anyway, that's one side. And Gulf Cup again, that is a whole other level. Right,
Hmm.
that's a whole other level. But well, this is what I wanted to ask about. Vishnu, we look at SAF as our regional tournament, right?
Hmm.
SAF Cup is played mostly in half full stadium or empty stadiums. But
Hmm.
these two tournaments, crowd is packed, people are crazy. Wherever they play a lot of home and away, especially in Mitsubishi Cup. A lot of home and away. Iraq, the tournament, the stadiums are filled for all the matches. Why is South Asia not able to get this kind of crowd? Although we see crowd in Nepal and say Bhutan, the rest of the countries we are not able to fill the stadium. Although we keep saying we are really big, we've done I don't know 100,000 SAF cups and we'll keep winning and all those. This fan culture is just not there in the South of Asia. Maybe it's not there as much. Let's say.
I mean, it's not. See, cricket proves that people don't come to stadium for lack of money to spend on sport. Like even now, when India is playing like I don't know some 300 ODIs and like matches in 1 year, the stadiums are still full. Unless of course you're holding it in Trivandrum, in which case they don't care. But it's again the whole thing boils down to the question of culture because it's not. We look at Asian Cup semi-finals and say, "Oh, the stadiums are full." I think a couple of weeks ago, I tweeted a stadium of a high school game in Japan where the stadiums were
Hmm.
full.
Yeah.
So it's not
Hmm.
just. It's just they love football. They come to watch football. It's like how we go to a mall on weekends. It's going and watching football is like that for them.
It's their Subroto Cup. Imagine it's their Subroto Cup,
Exactly.
bro.
Their version of football for 50,000, 60,000 people in the stadium. So just like what do we think about like not us but a random in like Indian family think about when it's the weekends. Let's go somewhere. Let's go
Mall.
maybe to a mall or let's go shopping or let's go to a movie. Movie, for example, is the best thing. So a lot of people in these countries instead of going to movies, their first thought is let's go watch a football game, and that is like that in a lot of these
And that's
countries.
their local team. They have
Yeah,
such
that's their
relatability to
local.
their local
Exactly,
team.
exactly.
That's the number
So
one sport also. That's a
Yeah.
number one sport also. Huh.
exactly. So unless that kind of an outlook comes, like that's what I'm saying. It's not like people say, "Oh, we won the cup in '83 in cricket, and that's what sparked the whole." That is not true. A lot of people were crazy about cricket even before '83. Come on, like way
Hmm.
really crazy about cricket. If you
But
read books of that time,
talking about
yeah,
football, six standing presidents, right, have been to a Durand Cup final, but none of them after 1979, if I'm not mistaken. So football had its pride of place,
exactly.
and I don't want to cry about the past, but it did. It saddens me, but
But
it
In
did.
even now,
Kozhikode,
you look at
Sanjay was from
Kolhapur.
Kozhikode. You would have heard. So when they had the Scissors Cup final there,
Ah, yeah,
I when I worked in Kozhikode, I've heard stories of when they had the Scissor Cup finals. There, people were climbing trees and standing on buildings with
yeah,
like
yeah,
far away to
Hmm.
watch the action. So it's not that this kind of a passion wasn't there, but 20, 30 years of really, really bad administration has killed a lot of this passion,
Hmm.
and not just killed a lot of this passion but allowed it to be focused on games elsewhere. Like I remember a lot of like when I was a kid, we used to have this Matrabhumi sports magazine. Do you remember that in
Yeah, I
Malayalam?
remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's still there.
It's still
My
there. It's
office
still
still
there.
gets it.
Yeah, it's still there. But way back in 99 and 2000, they used to run run roundups of what was happening in the leagues in Argentina and Brazil in 99
Hmm.
2000 because there was a readership base for that. So there was a time when people were ready to just watch anything football, and sadly we did not, because we had the thing is clear, because we had really shit administrators, not just at AFF but at the club level as well. So to build that back up, obviously you'll have to start from the pockets where this kind of a support is still there.
Hmm.
And again, you guys mentioned both those tournaments. I think both those tournaments were must watch for people who still believe that we can just step up a little bit and be among the top 10 in Asia. Because there are teams that are ranked 12 and 13 in Asia, and they are so much better than us, so much better than us. And people again who point at the fact that hey, look, we beat Qatar, we held Qatar, we beat Thailand.
Hmm.
Uh, these kind of one-off results were always there. It's not a new
Yeah.
thing. I remember
Take the 20-year average, right? That's a better
exactly,
indicator. Take the 20-year
exactly.
average, right?
These results were always there. Like in
Hmm.
2001, we beat UAE in a World Cup qualifier. Was that in Bangalore? I remember it being in
It
Bangalore.
was in Bangalore, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
1-0.
yeah.
Huh.
We beat UAE in a World Cup qualifier, not just a friendly match. And what happened to UAE football after that? What happened to Indian football after that? Nothing. I mean, I still, okay, I still, this is one of my favorite anecdotes. I think it was a
Anything.
Nehru Cup in 1985.
Okay, okay.
Argentina came and played.
Hmm.
And that team, I think beat India 3-1 or something, 2-1, 3-1. And it had 5 players who went on to win the World Cup
Yeah.
just the next year, including Baruchaga. I think Baruchaga played in India.
Burchaga,
And competitive game.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you're looking at, there are matches like that throughout Indian football's history.
Yeah.
But then, if you're looking at one result versus Qatar and one result versus Thailand,
China.
you say that look, we can
Chi-
play. Yeah,
China 1-0.
China was like,
You know, I mean,
and I don't think
who knows
China
what
has,
happened there?
yeah,
China itself is ranked some 11th in.
exactly. I don't think China has to be mentioned in the same breath as these teams, given the conditions they're in. So it's there. Those results are not proof. Definitely not proof that we are going anywhere, because those results have always been there and we have not gone anywhere. So
Yes, and I think one great anecdote here is that Guam will always talk about the time they beat India.
that's one result where they have my sympathy, because that Guam team was full of MLS players.
I know.
None of those people were even from Guam.
But
And
they came here and got
we had Sainaj
outplayed.
Singh. We had Sainaj Singh who was sent
No,
off.
but I have to say this though. They came to Bangalore and played the second leg and got properly outplayed. India
We
played
were
much,
both.
much, much better.
We were both at the game. No, that game where Robin Singh
Yeah,
scored that
The Robinson
completely
game.
not
Yeah.
at all lucky goal.
Yeah, Robin in his peak days. But yes, I
Absolutely
just
goal.
wanted to say that you guys are absolutely right, and we will keep tweeting photos of Phil Stadium in Kolhapur or Malappuram during Santosh Trophy, and then take Santosh Trophy's final part to Saudi Arabia. So, I mean,
No,
talk about counterintuitive
but I
ideas.
just want to say,
Intuitive ideas you get.
I just want to say the
Counterintuitive ideas.
narrative that has been floating around for some time, right? And I see a lot of this bullshit on Twitter saying, take the game to newer pockets, take the game to MP, UP, Rajasthan. I'm like, what? These guys are on some other level. Like, take it to places which are closer to the Asian elite, right? Take it to a Mizoram, take it to a Manipur, right? Why you want to take it to a place which is 20 years behind Mizoram and Manipur? It's just very counterintuitive. No, I mean, people will get offended. People like, how dare you say that, right? A friend of mine said it. Like, he was from one of those states, and I said, boss, a Mizoram, the last team in Mizoram will come and whoop all the teams here, and he was super offended, right? But this is the truth of it, right? So I just want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? I mean, it's all good as a marketing stunt, as a feel good gesture. Also, it's good. Let's take football to newer horizons. But when your resource is like shit thin, right? Sorry to use the word. What do, right? It's counterintuitive for me. It doesn't make any sense.
I think tournaments and games should be taken to places where there is a
Yeah.
fan base, who people will come, who you can show on TV and video and sort of influence the rest of the country saying, oh, there are people watching it, must be good, so let's also go and see. But with the national team, I think you can go to different parts, wherever it is. And then you can maybe you won't pull the same crowd, but at least the national team coming could be slightly bigger deal than say any ISL team or I League team or somebody coming. So I think that part maybe we can do a little more better. But now everything is going to go in one or two places only. That's the way things are going. So we'll see how that goes.
It's very clear the newer lobbies from where I
Yeah.
think.
Like,
Yeah. I mean,
like experiences in Indian football. Maybe I wouldn't have said this 4 or 5 years ago, but I don't believe in taking the game to anywhere right now. I said, let the game go somewhere. You follow it. Just don't stop it from going where it wants to go. I think
Good,
that's
good. That's
Good
a
point.
like what you can. You can't build a canal and it's not like diverting water from a river. So you can't take some. Let it go.
there's no
let it go
water
where
to
it wants
start
to go.
with. There's no water to start with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let it go where
So
it wants to
before,
go, and you follow it and build it there. And maybe then the like once it spreads, when it's time to reach these places where people want to take it to, it'll get there.
absolutely.
So forget about taking the game. The game will grow. Just don't impede it when it wants to go somewhere. Just encourage it wherever it goes. That's all.
So I just wanted to touch on a couple of questions before we end the show. Jawahar Preetham has said Shivshakti comes from Tamil Nadu. Yes, a lot of them do come from Tamil Nadu, southern Tamil Nadu. Also Sai Raj and all the rest of them as well. That part
But
is
still barely tapped. My
barely
heart
carrying
is
the
still
massive.
barely tapped.
So
Still
Ashu
there.
was asking,
When early to 2014, 2013, that time, when you, if you were a regular viewer of the Chennai CFA League, and there were like, and the CFA, there were 150 people who were regular viewers. Okay,
Hmm.
every game they'd come, sit there, they'd watch, they'd pass comments, everything. You would know that there, the standard of the CFA League at that time was pretty much the standard of the I League at that time. And which is why people like Suseraj, Nanda, all these people just the first match they played in I League, they just there was no gap to bridge, and which is also why Chennai City, with a team full of players they scouted from CFA League, went and won the title. So they've always had the talent. TN has always had the talent because there are a lot of parts of TN that are crazy about football. And unlike next door neighbors Kerala, they are much bigger. So I mean, Kerala is also crazy about football, but there are only so many, so much space in there. But TN is
Yeah.
much bigger, and they have the same passion. So
It's
talent
barely
has
tapped. Yeah.
never been a problem.
Yeah.
The only
absolutely.
problem has been the way this talent has been encouraged. Unfortunately, that problem is still going on. So
I
maybe
mean,
next
actually,
time.
they have been just discouraged. Encourage and all, dur ki baat hai.
Exactly. A lot of players just either go for department teams, or they just leave football altogether after that 1920, that age. So
Hmm.
department teams, once you go, there's no getting out of it. You play whenever your department wants you. And if you a lot of them leave football altogether. One of the final stories I did in Chennai before leaving that place was how, due to 2 years of the CFA league not being there, a lot of people, there were a couple of players who had gone to fishing, that quit football and become fishermen.
Same everywhere.
So
Wow.
that is what's happening in TN, and I really hope that they have a chance to flourish under a better administration, somebody who actually cares about football rather than the people who are there right now.
TN, Indian football's gold mine, Mizoram, did not have the MPL for 2 years, right? And Tetea told me, listen, the Santosh Trophy team that was there 2 years ago, they've all retired. Some of them have retired. They've had to go in for fresh talent. All the MPL clubs have had to go in fresh talent because most of them have retired. 2 years without football. Right? So this is what's happening in the gold mine of Indian football. So you can imagine this happening everywhere. Right?
And TN, another story is that if you've noticed, TN used to have a very good Santosh Trophy team, but last couple of seasons they've been finishing dead last in the group, even
Terrible results.
behind places like. So one of the stories I heard from, I don't want to mention the name of the coaches because they might get in trouble, is that there was a reservation system, because that's what the president of was of somebody, I don't know, had traded in for the votes of the district associations, reserved spot for each district. I mean, which Santosh Trophy team picks a team like that? Like one player from this district guaranteed, one player from this district
This
guaranteed.
is a very normal practice in many states, I've heard.
I
It's
know.
a it's a
It's what
voting
it's
it's a
The
voting
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 bank
rights.
vote
politics.
bank thing, no?
It's
Like
voting
you
bank
give,
politics,
give me
right?
your vote, I guarantee that one of your kids
Yeah,
will
it's
make it to
vote
the
bank
Santosh Trophy.
politics. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So now one question from Ashu here. Do you think if we increase the number of cup competitions in a season so that every team can have a chance of winning something, which will
Hmm.
also give fans something to cheers, celebrate about?
Okay. Again, biggest example, right?
Then ATK
When
will have 5 cups and Goa will have, like, Mumbai will have 4 cups. That's what.
Four cups, yeah, no, no, no. Biggest example, BFC. See, na BFC. He's written the letter saying 25, 30 CR. We are losing. We not getting any money from the fans, despite a decade of success. Right? I mean, if you think success alone will bring fans, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Right? Football club just has to be the pulse of their community. It has to have many
But to
touch
be
points.
fair, BSC is one of those clubs in ISL who has a very strong fan
Fan
base and the
base,
fan culture.
still the losses are incredible,
Yeah.
right? So I'm saying still they're not tapping incredible fan base, agreed, but any average BFC game is what 2,000 3,000 people in the West Block, right?
I don't know. It used to be
Realistic,
7,000, 8,000. This year
realistic.
it's
I'm
less.
not talking about what the official figures are.
No, no,
I'm
you
not
look at
talking
the
about.
stadium also. This year also in the beginning of the stadium, I thought there won't be enough people because the team was not
Forget
doing
about
well.
the first match of season.
No, no,
First
no.
match of season is a bad
I've
indicator.
gone to
Is a
every
bad
single
indicator.
home game other than the Jamshedpur game. And last
Four
game, there
thousand
was
people.
not many people. But most of the other runs, surprisingly, good number of people. But
Huh.
that stadium is also not 25,000. Okay, one side there is no chance that anybody
Uh-huh.
sitting. So maybe that stadium is around 18,000, at most 20,000.
For me, it's not a success, right? I was thinking about an example, right? I was at, and this is again, I should not take this example. It's European football. It was, I was watching Schalke versus Cologne, right? And Schalke was second, and Cologne were about to get relegated. They were second last on the table, right? Stadium was full, right? So, I mean, if your fans are only coming when your team is successful, then they're casuals. They're not fanatics, they're casuals. That's a term for it, right? I'm sorry to use the term, but that is what it is, right? So ISL, maximum two teams will do well every year, three teams will do well. Are you saying that the rest of the eight teams have to suffer, right? So I'm again saying this: marketing, the job of marketing, fan engagement, everybody is to isolate the team from its results, right? Is to build an engaged fan base no matter what the result, right? Yes, the result matters. Yes, they dwindle over time, if right. But I'm saying you can't see these massive walkouts every time the team does badly, right? So I don't know. I mean, I'm not. For me, the answer is no to this.
Okay,
Right? For
there are a
me,
few other questions also. I'm
simply
just
club
looking
has to
through.
have many touch points. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Roshan said the influence of agencies is also in these transfers, right? Absolutely. You can go check in transfer market, which agency is influencing where. Is there a chance for at least one ISL team to break even in 5 years? Vishnu?
Yeah. Yeah, only one. Only one. Only one. I think the answer is unanimous. No.
I'm reading other questions. Sorry.
There has to be the men in yellow.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they have the fan base. So,
They
yeah.
Which
also have
yellow are
some.
you talking about?
Huh?
Which yellow are you talking about?
Yennum.
Uh,
Yellow.
the lack of local talent affecting club marketing, yes, to a large extent. But
But
Kerala obviously is one of the clubs who has local talent and marketed it well. Goa has one local talent and marketed it well. But you can again see where they are
yeah,
in terms of budget.
the difference in this. It's that's what. It's not just one factor. It's probably
But
10,
they
15.
have a local talent pool where they can tap into. A lot of the other places don't have that. At
Ha,
least some of the
Hyderabad,
good places.
Hyderabad, Odisha,
Yeah.
where it'll get from, right? So actually, it's good. It's a good exercise to do. Mumbai, yes. Mumbai, BFC, yes. Chennai, yes. Kerala Blasters, yes. Right? And Northeast United, because you're calling it Northeast United. Assam by itself is not a very football prolific state. Again, to make the differentiator, ATK, Mohun Bagan, yes. East Bengal, yes. That's like half. Half the clubs have local fan bases tap into, half don't. Right?
Okay, just two last questions, and we'll try to end this before we hit the 1 hour mark. When is the I League second division? I hear February, March. I'm not exactly sure when. Are the schedules of IWL out?
April 15th. So they'll announce it probably March 20th. Right?
Probably around the April 10th.
The back calculation. It's standard
But
back
they
calculation.
have more teams this time, right?
So what? It doesn't matter to them. They'll
It's the
wake up
same people,
one
right?
month before. They'll wake up. Oh, IW. Like,
Yeah,
they make a
this
calendar. I'd be
this.
very surprised if it happens before a month before.
But they have released some calendar, right? AFF released some calendar.
April 15th. It's supposed to start April 15th, but that's it. That's it. We don't know anything more, anything less. Number of
Is
teams,
it
who's
home and
participating,
away,
what is the
one
format.
place? It's one place, right? Centralized, right?
It changes every week. This information changes every week. I'm not kidding. I don't now the last information is it is six groups. How 15
How many
teams
teams are there?
15 teams split into six groups. I'm not
Why?
kidding. This is what I read
It
on the
doesn't
this thing.
even
How
make
does that
mathematical
even,
That
sense.
that
how does
that
the
math
math even
that
work then?
math is basically yeah,
If we
three groups of
split,
three, three groups of two.
if you
Yeah.
split 15 teams into
Three
six
groups of
groups,
three
it
and three
becomes like
groups
a
of
knockout
two.
tournament
Yeah,
only.
yeah. No, but
Start with
this is keep
add one more
changing.
team and start with round of 16.
This won't be finalized until March 20th. Till March 20th, some two people will say we don't have the money to play, we'll pull out. March 20th, we'll wait.
Yeah, so
I'm
let's
not
not
holding
worry
my
about
breath.
it because the people there are still
I've,
making up their minds.
Hmm. Are
I've
they are
heard that
so busy? They are busy planning the next this under 17
Oh,
final.
great in
This
Germany.
yeah.
it's a great
They're not.
suggestion from Roshan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should hold the
Everyone
podcast
should
in
be played
Germany
in
also.
Germany.
Take us all to Germany and we'll record it from there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I do think I league two. Some of the clubs are. I know two clubs who are actually taking it very seriously. So might have some
Many,
decent level
many,
improvement.
many, many, many.
Yeah,
Not
I
just
know of two personally, but I'm sure there are more because the fact that they
ev-
promised promotion has sort of rekindled some interest. So,
everyone who is blowing through 50 lakh to 1 CR for nothing for peanuts
hmm,
is taking it seriously. I mean, not just.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we can just name so that people know. Dempo is there.
Tempo,
Dempo's playing.
FCBU,
FCB is playing. Yeah.
yeah,
Someone
and then
Calcutta team will play. Who United SC? I think.
I don't know.
I
I've
think the
not
owner came out
dwelled
and
too deep into it because it's still in February, in Feb end or March,
again,
right?
see,
So,
that's what. Why are we talking about the IW in April when we don't have any information about the I League 2
yeah.
happening
Second
next
division
month?
and yeah,
In fact,
exactly.
Next
I got
month.
a call yesterday from one club, and then they were talking about their plans, and I said, "I'll talk to you a little later because now it's too early to write about any of these things because it doesn't make any sense because we don't know when the league is happening or what is happening." But I'll call you back definitely. But at this moment, it's too early.
It's too early. Imagine.
Yeah,
Imagine.
because we don't know when it's starting, what team, where,
We don't know
nothing.
what's the format, where it'll happen. We
Yeah.
don't know anything. Anything.
All we
It's
know is those guys are like, oh, our foreigners, we can't have foreigners, so we focused a lot more on Indians. I said, okay, fair enough.
that was anyway the case. You could only one foreigner only you could field on the pitch anyway,
Two,
second
two,
division.
two.
One on the pitch or two on the pitch?
Two on the pitch and one extra you could have.
Three overall, I think.
Oh, the three over. Okay, okay, okay. That was, I talked with the I thought I talking about the IWL rules where it is one foreigner on the pitch, one on the bench. It's two and one here.
This is a question, a tough question to answer.
No,
I don't
not
think he's
funded.
funding. He's not
Not funded.
funding.
I think Ranjit Baj is sort of a mentor to the.
You can go and check in all these second division team. You will find Ranjit Bajaj as an honorary VP or honorary president or
Ha.
some honorary post they've given him. So he is associated with a lot of. I think Travancore FC.
Royals,
I think
Tramco
he's
Royals.
got.
But they're not playing second division, I
No,
think.
I mean I'm saying all these
Um,
local teams. A lot of them have Ranjit Bajaj as a honorary one thing or the other. So
I think good relationship, and I would also agree with this. He loans out people where he can get it to get more game time. That is something I agree with. That is one way for these players to develop faster. So
yes.
yeah.
So we've just crossed the 1 hour mark. Thanks for everybody who has listened, and I hope you like this. Let us know in feedbacks on our Twitter feed or whatever, if or in comments in YouTube, if this format is something that you prefer, where we do deep dives into 2 3 topics rather than talk about all the games. And if you do have some things that you want to discuss as well, you can please put it out on social media platforms for us. And other than Instagram, I don't check Instagram until Naveen comes back. Instagram will not be working. So in Twitter or YouTube would be great. So yeah, thanks a lot, Orko. Thanks a lot, Vishnu, for pushing through
Mm.
uh, what you had. You're not feeling all that great. So thanks for pushing through. And we made you talk a lot as well.
Yeah.
He's
So
always
when
there for
the
Indian
discussion
football.
starts, it's hard not to talk. So.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So, thank you so much, guys. Hit the likes, subscribe, whatever else is
yeah.
that you do these days. No, what is it? Share, yes, share also.
Help us reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We are close to that,
We are
or
close. Yeah, I think we crossed 1,000 on Twitter, but we would like to cross 1,000 and 10,000 and millions of
yes,
people
guys.
on YouTube.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thanks a lot for your help. Thanks, Orko. Thanks, Vishnu. Good night to you guys, and have a good week.
You guys.